The urban church. Stay close.
If you want to talk about it, let's talk.
Welcome to the show. Let's talk about relationship.
Let me walk you through your healing.
Let's talk about that. I don't want to be nowhere where there's a move of God, but I'm not receiving.
Economic side where now women are making more money than the men that they date.
So many people don't know who they are before they start doing what they do.
God is going to supernaturally visit you.
Welcome to the show. Wow. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I am so glad, and I'm going to rejoice in this day. Listen, guys, we have an exciting show. I'm so honored and so humble to have this awesome man of God in the midst of us. He is a hip-hop artist. He's a publisher. He's an author. He's a husband and a father of two awesome daughters. Listen, he's the lead pastor at the Crossover Church right in our backyard. Put your hands together and welcome to the show, Pastor Tommy Kyllonen.
It's good to be here.
Also known as Urban D.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Thank God for having you here today. I've been researching you, man. You've done a lot. You've done a lot.
I'm busy.
So let's just get right to it. So before we talk about the pastor, the rap artist, the hip hop artist, and you know the man on the move, let's talk about Tommy. Who is Tommy?
Well, I originally grew up in Philly, and I'm a PK, which if you don't know what that means, pastor's kid, kind of the church lingo. So my dad was a pastor, so I grew up in a Christian home, was blessed to have that. Didn't really realize it and took it for granted. But as I became a teenager, you know, a lot of my friends would come over to my house to play basketball and hang out, and they would meet my dad, and my dad was a big dude. He was like 6'4.5".
Okay.
So he would come out and ball with us too, and you
Nice.
know, he'd be like blocking our shots and fouling us and stuff. But they loved my dad, and they're like, man, you're so lucky you have a dad that's cool. I don't even have a dad, or my dad never hangs out with me. And so I began to realize, man, I am really blessed that I have parents that, you know, love me and are teaching me the right way. At the same time, I began to stray away, you know, from the things of the church and the things of God and the things I knew as truth growing up, because there was just so many other temptations out there, you know, in the streets and just in an urban context. And so these two different worlds. I had the church world, which I was in every time the doors were open, right? Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Friday night. But then I had, you know, the culture around me, school, the block, and all these other things. And it was two different worlds that were so different. And my you know, eyes started to wander over in this direction as I got older and began to stray for a while. And I went through a little bit of a rebellious season. But praise God, he kept his hand on me. My parents, my church family was praying for me. And God, you know, drew me back in when I was a senior in high school. So
That's right. That's awesome. So what talk to me a little bit about your transformation into salvation. When did you receive the Lord?
Well, I really did at a young age. And I believed and I knew God was real. And like I said, you know, I definitely strayed away as a teenager. But then I had, you know, several moments as a teenager in high school where I kind of was like, okay, recommitting.
Yes.
But then I would go back, I would go to camp or something and get on fire for God. Then 2 weeks later, I'd be out in the street doing the same stuff again. But God really got a hold of me my senior year. And I was scared, and I was like, man, I've messed up so many times. I've recommitted. I've fallen backwards again. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this Christian life is really for me. But I really, you know, recommitted my life, and God began to do things. I still fell, but I kept getting back up.
Again.
And that's when God really revealed himself to me, and I submitted and said, God, I'm going to do whatever you want.
This is it.
He said, I want you to go to college, you know, Bible college the first year. I'm like, Bible college? I don't even know if I'm college material.
Right.
So I went to Bible college, didn't know I was there first semester, and quite honestly, I messed up a lot that first semester. I was out of the house. I had more freedom, so I was like, you know, wilding out a little bit. But second semester, I was sitting in chapel one Monday morning after I had been in the clubs all weekend with my unchurched friends that didn't go to school with me down in the city. And so I got home like 3 a.m. There I am at chapel service, and God spoke to me and said, what are you doing here?
Wow.
Either get with the program or quit and leave and miss what I have for you.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like terrified, like, I don't want to miss what you have for me, God. And so that day I really made a commitment, and everything began to fall into place little by little.
Awesome. What was one of your greatest temptation that kept pulling you back into the world?
I think it was a lot of my friends that didn't know the Lord, and it was materialism, because I grew up not having a whole lot. My dad pastoring an urban church.
Right.
We didn't really have much. If we went out to McDonald's once a week, that was a big deal.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah, we didn't have a whole lot. We got government cheese, and I could tell you all kinds of stories.
Yes.
I had to buy my own Nikes if I wanted Nikes. If not, I would get the ones from Kmart. Everybody would dog me and make fun of me.
Sweetwater tennis.
Yes.
No name brand.
Yep, Bobos. That's what we called them. So I had to, hustle and shovel snow and rake leaves and clean cars and do whatever, even from a young age, if I wanted to, get nice things. So materialism was a big thing for me. And honestly, because I didn't always have things, I got into stealing.
Oh, wow.
And I was really big into shoplifting, and that can kind of give you this adrenaline rush. And I was a graffiti artist.
Yes.
So I was doing a lot of illegal graffiti, and that could kind of give you that adrenaline rush. You're out there with your black on, tagging up in the night. So those were some of the things that I was caught up in. Of course, females and just all those things that were kind of out there in hip-hop culture that you were hearing in the songs and seeing in the music videos. That's what I was attracted to.
Oh, wow. How did you, how were you dubbed the name Urban D?
Well, the D stands for disciple.
Okay.
And so when I was in Bible college, when I got serious with the Lord, when I came to Florida my second year, I started a hip-hop group, and we were called the Urban Disciples.
Gotcha.
I came up with the name. So eventually, after college, I kept doing music, and I just said, well, I'm just going to call myself Urban Disciple. I don't have the rest of the crew with me. They all moved to different places, and so eventually that just got shortened to D, Urban D, because I want to be making disciples in the urban context, and I'm an urban disciple. So
awesome. Now you're the lead pastor of one of the most influential, innovative churches in America, the Crossover Church. Why do you believe the Crossover Church exists in the earth realm?
God has called us to, every church is called to be like the New Testament church.
Yes.
But every church is going to have some unique vision to it. Right. And have some unique abilities to reach certain kinds of people. And so when I became the pastor in 2002, I'd been the youth pastor the first 6 years. Right. I never wanted to be the pastor. That's part of the story a lot of people don't always know. So I really got pushed into it. The pastor was like, you need to take over. And the pastor before that told me the same thing. And I'd been fighting it. There was 3 different pastors during the first 6 years I was there.
Oh,
they
wow.
kept changing every 2 years because they were bivocational. They would do it for a little while. They would get burned out, and then they would, move on. But they would always ask me, do you want to step up? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm doing the youth ministry. I'm doing my music. I'm traveling. And at the time, in 2001, 2002, I was signed to a national record label. So I was traveling quite a bit. And that's how I made my income, was through my music and touring. The church would pay me occasionally when they could, but it was small and there wasn't much. And so I couldn't depend on a steady, income from the church. Right. So being entrepreneurial, like I've always been, and I just, but I was doing ministry, so it was great. But me and my wife prayed about it, as the church really needed a pastor that was going to be there. All the other pastors were bivocational. And I was there. Anytime I wasn't on the road, which was only 4 or 5 days a month, I was full-time at the church. So the church needed a pastor. So I stepped into that role in 2002, and I said, God, okay, now that you put me to be the lead pastor, the visionary here, what's the vision? I need to hear it from you. Like, who do you want us to reach? What is our church supposed to look like? We were already super unique. Here's part of the story you may not know. We had about 200 youth and young adults that were coming to the service I did on Thursday nights. And on Sunday, there was about 40 on a good Sunday. 40 adults. Right. But 30-something of them were young adults from the youth ministry.
So you had more youths on your Thursday night service than your Sunday morning
than there was
worship.
Adults.
Wow, in the worship.
Yeah,
wow.
5 times the amount. That can sound like crazy and like, wow, that's awesome, but it was really kind of unhealthy because there wasn't much vision for Sundays.
Right.
And so God began to give us vision and say, reach people that are in the urban context, that are influenced by urban culture, by hip-hop, pop culture, and that are far from me or disconnected from me. That's the crowd I want you to go after. And so we did, but at first we're like, well, what does that look like? What is church supposed to look like? Can we have a DJ? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can we have a rapper?
What you talking about on the Sunday morning?
Is that all right? We do that on Thursday in the young adult service, but Sunday, I've never seen a church really do that. And so we carefully and prayerfully began to make changes. I had some, other older pastors that were mentoring me, pastors that were also good at reaching unchurched people, but in different contexts. And I just was reading, seeking the Lord, and God began to kind of reveal what we were supposed to do, and we began to take those steps and reach more and more people, and the church really began to grow.
Yeah, to the point now you have 3 services on a Sunday because you have to deal with the influx. But I gotta hear it. Describe a typical worship experience at your church.
Okay, so it's very unique and diverse, and it always is a little different. It's not always the same. We intentionally do that. We're predictably unpredictable. But we're worshiping God in an indigenous way. So last Sunday, our first song of worship, our worship team's called Remix. Our first song was like a black gospel type song, and they were getting it in, getting down. We have some soulful singers. Second song was reggae.
Nice.
Third song was a Lecrae song. That song Messengers, because we were talking about multiplying the kingdom. And so we did the Messengers song, and our worship leader rapped a little bit, and the band's playing. And the fourth song was kind of like an R&B ballad. We sang Your Love is Extravagant, but remixed, real soulful. So the worship music itself is very eclectic, but it's urban. So you're going to hear a lot of different genres and styles. We might occasionally even sing a song in Spanish, do a verse in Spanish, and then English, mix it up. We have 3 big screens, so we utilize those and show images as worship's going on. We have multiple cameras like this here.
Yeah, nice.
And then we show a lot of video stuff, like highlight videos or videos that we get from other ministries or stuff that we find that ties into the message that day. We've been doing a drama every week during this series. We're doing a series right now called Misfits. How Jesus and his disciples changed the world. Because Jesus' disciples, they were misfits.
Yes.
They were from Galilee.
Yes.
They were some rough dudes, some knuckleheads, some characters. So it just varies. We have a guest artist every week that usually does a special song during the offering.
Nice.
And so every week we have a different artist that's there. And it's just, we preach the Word of God in context. We always are reading from the Scripture. We put the words up on the screen. Generally, we teach in series, so it kind of flows cohesively from week to week. So it gives a big thought to have a big impact.
Right.
We regularly invite people to start a relationship with Jesus or recommit or, commit to whatever it might be. Last week it was like just stand for your faith. Who's going to commit to stand for their faith in the midst of persecution.
Yes.
We're preaching from Acts 7 and Acts 8, where there was, the church went through persecution after Stephen got stoned.
Yep.
So, we have a great time. Church is a celebration.
Fun.
It's fun.
Upbeat.
You have a little bit of everybody there.
Yeah. Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So your audience, your covenant partners, at what age range you're?
It's very diverse. Now, it is predominantly 45 and under, but we do have older people in the church as well. We have several retired couples, actually, that come and volunteer at the church during the week. They're a blessing,
nice.
And we value them. And it's not only multi-generational, but it's very multi-ethnic. So there's, African American, Hispanic, every kind of Hispanic you can imagine, from Puerto Rican to Cuban to Mexican to Central American to, we have a few white people as well, some Indians, some Asians. I mean, it's just a little bit of everything. It reflects Tampa.
Yes. So does your preaching style reflect the urbanness in you as well?
Definitely, I'm me.
Yes.
So I share stories about my life. I'm me. I'm animated. I walk around a lot. I don't stay in one space. I don't have like a big podium that I stand behind the whole time with.
You just keep moving.
The younger generation, especially, I think today's culture, they want you to have a conversation like you're having.
Yes.
They want you to engage and look them in the eyes. And, so I don't look down. I memorize everything I'm going to say. And then, of course, the Holy Spirit adds and guides as well. But God's blessed me to have a photographic memory, which is great. So I do my research, I study, I type everything out, I read it several times, I go over it, I time it, and then boom, like God helps me to remember it.
Nice.
So
very nice. Good stuff. Wow. Now, you just recently, not recently, you've been in the building that you're in for quite a few number of years, but it was Toys R Us touring crossover.
Yes.
And you created this amazing video that I found on YouTube called Doors.
Yeah.
Walk me through that, because it's almost like the video was like taking us to a journey of how you got into the crossover building.
Yeah. Getting in that building, the building we're in right now, is such a miracle. We really shouldn't be in there by so many regards. It was truly a miracle of God. We were in a campus in a small building back behind Lowry Park Zoo, back in the middle of the neighborhood. And the church was basically, the property was gifted to us over a period of time. We fixed it up, made it really nice, but the auditorium only sat 200 people. So even at the old location, we had to move to 2 services and then 3 services, and we had an overflow room, and we were just bursting at the seams, and we really couldn't grow past about 500 people because, so we have been dreaming for a while, God, we need a bigger space. We know the vision is bigger than this property. We want to have a campus on the main street with plenty of parking where people can find us, and we're not making too much noise for all the neighbors because we're in a residential area.
Right.
So we brought in a lot of noise and traffic, and so we looked at a lot of different properties over the years and prayed, but finally we got to the point where we looked at the Toys R Us building. We felt like God was really saying, go, this is it, this is it. And so through about a course of 2 years of fundraising, praying, planning, negotiations with Toys R Us, trying to sell our property as well, everything little by little began to fall into place. Wow. And we actually were portable for about 9 months. We sold the old campus, and Toys R Us we didn't sign the deal on it yet. We're in process.
Right.
So it was almost like, where Elisha was called by Elijah, and he burned the plows, and he slaughtered the oxen. There was nothing to come back to.
Right.
Sometimes if God calls us to do something, we'll kind of like keep a little something over here in case it doesn't work out.
We go back.
But we were like, nah, there's no plan B.
That's
we're all in. So we went to the hotel and started having services there. And within 5 weeks, we signed the deal on Toys R Us.
Awesome.
So we were there about 9 months.
Awesome. Yes.
And then moved into the Toys R Us building. And real quick, it's been an amazing journey for a little over 4 years now, 4.5 years. It's been challenging. We had a lot of construction debt when we first moved in. God helped us to pay all that off.
My God,
about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
And we've seen thousands of people start a relationship with Jesus. We've been able to touch thousands of people through our outreach ministries, give away tens of thousands of pounds of food, thousands of backpacks, Christmas presents, just all kinds of free haircuts, all kinds of stuff that we've done in the community. We just had a big water baptism a few weeks ago, and so in total, since we moved in the new building, we baptized 871 people.
Wow,
Yeah.
800,
Yeah.
wow, that's what I'm talking about.
Our 5-year anniversary is the first weekend of November. And so we're praying to hit the 1,000 mark.
Jesus, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Wow.
It's been an amazing journey.
What an amazing story.
Yeah.
My faith is leaping. Oh my God. We might as well just go into faith. How did faith got you to where you are?
Well, I'm definitely a visionary. I took the Strength Finders test. There's this, test you can take called Strength Finders, and it gives you your top 5 strengths. And so my top strength is called futuristic, which means, you see the future. Of course, that's a gift from God.
Yes.
That's AKA visionary. So God gives me vision, and vision is really just what could be and what should be.
Yes.
But it's not yet.
Yes, that's
it's
right.
faith.
Yes.
You can't see it yet. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. But you know that God's saying that's going to be. And so it's scary sometimes, because when you're a visionary, when you have a ton of faith, sometimes when you share that with people, what God is telling you, you with this show, probably you told some people and they were like, that's a nice vision there. Keep praying about it.
Yes.
Some people think you're crazy, but when you step out on faith and you watch God begin to, put all the little pieces in place, you know it's him.
Right. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that, because when you talk about stepping out on faith, what does that really mean? I believe a lot of people desire God to do things, but they just sit and they wait. Yeah. They just sit there. But what does it really mean to step out on faith?
Yeah. It means that you have to take some risks.
Yes.
Sometimes. You got to take some risks. You got to be all in. Yes, there's a time to wait and to pray, and then there's also a time to go and to execute and be about it. And so that's going to look different for everybody depending on what God's calling you to do. Maybe he's calling you to start a business, maybe a talk show, maybe a ministry, maybe a church. Whatever it might be, you can't just sit there and wait for everything to fall in your lap. We didn't wait to get all the resources and all the funding, and we just began to make moves and cast vision and share with other people. People they want to be part of vision.
Yes.
They want to be part of something that's happening, that's moving. And the sad thing is, there's a lot of people out there with false vision and worldly vision, and they're going to speak into people's lives that are visionless. And so there's many times every day people are pulled in the wrong direction because they're listening to the wrong voices.
Wow, awesome. I want to go back to the soul winning that you're doing. That's a commendable 800 plus souls being baptized within a year. Tell me how, in a little more detail, how do you use, or how do you think hip hop played a role, or the urban culture played a role into winning those souls?
Yeah, I think it really, I think you watched the video of what the campus looks like, what a service might look like. So many people in the younger generations, like 40, 45 and under, a lot of them have this mindset of what church is like, and many of them have had bad experiences in church. Because most people in the urban context, they've been to church at some point in their life, right? Maybe it was grandma's church or a funeral or something. Right. And, many times the church, we can create this whole nother culture, this whole nother subculture, this whole nother world that is just based on preferences and tradition of a certain generation. Not necessarily something that's based on things that are biblical.
Yes.
So we get caught up in that, and then if you don't look like that or prefer that or dress like this or listen to this kind of music or talk like this, then you're not going to be looked at in the same way. And so a lot of people have experienced judgment or just feeling awkward or nobody welcoming them when they step into certain church context.
Yes.
So we've really kind of stripped away all that man-made tradition.
Good.
We love everyone. We welcome everybody when they come in. And I think when they come in and they hear music and the style that we have, and just even when they're walking in, we have a DJ that's spinning music to kind of set the atmosphere. We have a countdown screen. Service is going to start in, 3 minutes and 58 seconds. And so there's just an energy there. And when service starts, just from the moment it starts to the end, there's energy, there's excitement. There's some real stuff that we talk about that's going to make you feel uncomfortable at times, too. The gospel is going to make you feel uncomfortable at some point.
Yes.
But we don't want all these other things that are going to make you feel uncomfortable to get in the way of you being open to hear it. And so we want to do our part and just welcome people and bring them in an environment that they can connect to and relate to. And that's what we've been doing. And so I think through the music and the way that it's set up and even the way that people can come and dress casually and be themselves, and they look around the room and they see somebody that looks like them, whether they're black, white, brown, young, old, rich, poor. We have such an eclectic mix of people from the neighborhood to people that drive from the suburbs, and everyone's there together worshiping.
Nice, very nice. Wow, awesome. You sound like you're doing an amazing job at Crossover. Wow, we give God glory for.
We do.
Yes, for this church in the earth realm, amen, reaching the lost, amen, with hip hop. So let's talk about the music, right?
Yeah.
So, rap music always gets a bad rap, period. The older generation believes that, oh my God, rap music in the church, that's the devil's music. Yeah. Let's talk about what is rap music in your vernacular, in your definition.
Yeah. And if you're feeling like that, I totally get it. I totally understand, because if you listen to most hip hop that's on the radio or on a music video channel, a lot of it is vulgar. It's got profanity. It's degrading women. It's totally glorifying materialism, stuff that's totally opposite of a Christian worldview.
True.
And so I totally get that. But if you look back at some of the roots of hip hop when it first started, it started in the 70s. In the Bronx, out of people that were in the urban context that needed a voice, and it was a form of expression. Kids that didn't want to get in gangs, they were breakdancing and rapping and DJing and trying to do something positive.
Right.
And as it got popular, suddenly then it got commercialized, and then they started adding, the bad language, the materialism, the gangster rap, and then hip hop really just went downhill.
Women,
So like any other music style or genre, it can be used in a positive way or a negative way, like any kind of music can.
True.
R&B and, there's a lot of other music that's out there that can be very vulgar as well.
True.
Not just rap. We have to remember that we were created to worship God.
Yes.
In everything that we do. And music is a major area. And Satan, Lucifer, what did he do in heaven? He was a worship director.
He was a worship director.
So there is definitely a stronghold over music.
Yes.
And whatever kind of music is popular in that generation, hip hop's been a popular music for several generations, and so that's a music that He's trying to just pollute and for it to be a really negative tool. So, but just like anything, it can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And I want to say this as well to the older generation that might be watching. So you can say, well, how can you bring that in the church?
Yes.
But if you look at church history, every generation had a new style of music that they would bring in. And the generation that was older would give a lot of pushback.
Yes.
And then eventually, over time, it would assimilate in. Even if you take it in church history all the way back to hymns. Now, a lot of people today will say, well, hymns are the sacred music of the church. Well, I went to Bible college, so I know all about church history. We had to study it in depth. When hymns first came out, the music from hymns was actually the same melodies and songs as the current bar tunes of their day in the saloons. Wow. So the pianos, songs that they were singing as everybody was getting drunk and drinking, and there was prostituting and gambling in these saloons. Those same, beats and music, not beats, but, the piano, they were taking those and bringing them into the church and writing hymns over that same style. And people were like, what? No way, we're not. And so there was actually splits in churches. There was some churches that were like, they would call themselves non-singing churches because they didn't even want to have any of that going on. But over time, it became accepted. And then even the world moved on and was doing a different style of music.
Right,
So,
yes.
So hymns, the style of the lyrics of them have some great theology in them, some of them. Some of them are too wordy, that we don't use those words today. But so we even take some hymns at our church sometimes and we remix them, with current music.
Right.
But the Bible also sing a new song unto the Lord.
Yes.
Make a new song. So each generation is going to always be writing new lyrics and new music styles to glorify the Lord in an indigenous way that's authentic to that generation, that culture.
Yeah, as long as the message is,
Amen.
the message from
Yep.
him.
As long as it's Christ-centered, worship is for him.
It's for him. It definitely is for him. Stay close. We'll be right back. The Lord has given me an amazing vision. I have already made the investment, but I really don't believe the investment was just for me. I believe that I was empowered to help you take your voice and your message to the masses. If you are in Tampa Bay or the surrounding area, we have a state-of-the-art studio designed to help you get your message out. Have you ever thought about doing Bible study or even producing your own talk show? Well, this studio is equipped to make that happen for you. Contact us today. The information is on the screen. I must be back in the island. Are we back? We're back. Hey. Welcome back to the show. Listen, my guest has been it's been an amazing conversation talking with Pastor T. Yes, the urban hip hop pastor, lead pastor over Crossover Church right here in Tampa. So glad to have him. Just before the break, we were talking about rap music, and you gave a good analogy. You broke down, how the church over time has taken music and we redefine it as long as the message remained the same. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that? And you talked about the fact that most rap music, the language is very vulgar. It's demeaning women. Yeah. It's promoting materialism, promoting murder, and all this crazy stuff. So what do you think it would take for the older generation to accept the hip hop culture with the Christ-centered message?
I think it takes education, and I think it also takes valuing them as well,
right.
And valuing their style and preferences.
The devil music.
Yeah,
no.
Not that we're trying to
right.
come in and take away everything, but it has been great that there's been a big change even in the mainstream. Not a big change, but it's happening. There's a lot of Christian hip hop artists now that have crossed over into the mainstream, and that's continuing to grow and evolve. The number one Christian album this week was a hip-hop album. It was an artist from right here in our city.
Really?
It was KB.
KB.
He had the number one Christian album in the world this week. I think it sold somewhere in the neighborhood of around 15,000
right.
copies, and he was number 17 on the total charts for Billboard. On iTunes, he was actually even number 3 for overall everything for a couple of days when it first came out. So Lecrae, he was number 1 on Billboard when he came out, and
yes,
so
there's
a lot of amazing things starting to happen, a lot of new doors that are opening up for this kind of music to be in the mainstream. Lecrae has been on, the Jimmy Fallon show, Good
Yes.
Morning America. He's been on a lot of, mainstream hip hop radio shows and TV shows and BET and MTV. So it's opening up a lot more doors for us to get our message into the mainstream. Is where we want to be. That's where people need to hear it.
Awesome. Now you do something called the Flavor Fest.
Yes.
And I believe it's all centered around getting this urban message out. Talk to us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
it's an urban leadership conference.
Mm-hmm.
So I do travel around the country quite a bit and teach at workshops and preach at different churches and do some music as well. This past week I was teaching at the Exponential Conference. It's the world's largest church planting conference.
Nice.
It's about 5,000 church planters come to it. It's usually in Orlando, but it was actually in Tampa. It was at Idlewild Church this week.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I did like 3 workshops and just connecting with, literally hundreds of leaders. And so every time I had been at events like that over the years, for a long time, people would say, "Oh man, we want to come visit your church. I want to pick your brain. We need to learn from you guys." So as we, started hearing that a long time ago, because my music, used to be in the stores. Remember when we used to buy music in the stores?
Yes, back in the day.
So, I had some stuff inside of my CDs that would talk about the ministry in the church with some pictures. And so we started to have people visit our church and call us and email us. And so we got together with our leadership team and we said, a phone call, one visit, or an email doesn't really help people that much. It doesn't really give them what they need.
True.
So we said, let's invite people to come and let's do like a weekend of like workshops, and we'll do a concert and they can see what that looks like. We'll do an outreach in the community. They can see how many people we serve and how to organize that. They can see what our church service looks like. And so we started doing that 15 years ago.
Wow.
So this October is actually going to be our 15-year anniversary for Flavor Fest.
Nice.
And
nice.
we trained close to 5,000 leaders.
Wow.
Over the 15
5,000.
years. Yeah.
And you do this right at the crossover?
Do it right at crossover.
Nice.
There's generally about 500 to 700 leaders that come from around the world. And it's a variety of pastors, youth pastors, just church leaders, artists. A lot of artists come every year as well. People that are doing outreach ministry, some parachurch organizations come as well,
Nice.
like Young Life and stuff like that are working in the schools, FCA. And it's been an amazing journey to be able to pour in and resource, urban ministry leaders. And when they come to an event like that, usually when we go to other conferences, it's a lot of times suburban.
Yes.
And so, your few urban people there kind of like,
You can
but
spot them
when
out,
we get
right?
everybody together
Yes.
at Flavor Fest, it's like one big family reunion.
Wow.
And so it's been great. So we're looking forward to our 15-year celebration this year.
Wow. I hope the Let's Talk show shows up at the
Yeah.
Flavor Fest this year. Wow.
And you could probably do all kinds of interviews. You're right up the street. You could schedule some people to come up here.
Nice. So you'll open up that door.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Wow. This has been an amazing show. I tell you, this has been an amazing show. Now, a lot of people may not know this who may be watching this for the first time. You're well known and popular, but I want to go to, you are a rapper artist yourself. You have a lot of albums. Talk to me about your music. Some of you, what inspired you? As a matter of fact, let's go back. How did you start writing rap music?
Oh, man, I was in 5th grade when I really got into hip-hop. Breakdancing was out.
Uh-huh.
And so I listened to some rap a little bit even before that second,
You used
third
to
grade.
breakdance?
But yeah, I was really, you want to, no,
Go
I'm just kidding. Might break something. I got into it in 5th grade, started breaking and really getting into the culture. But then breakdancing, faded out after, a year or two. And then I really got into rapping and got into graffiti writing and stuff. But yeah, I got into rapping and I would memorize other people's, songs that were on the radio.
Right.
I had remember cassette tapes?
Yeah.
I had the cassette tape.
Yes.
I'd memorize it. I'd be rapping on the bus. Everybody would gather around and, so I really got into it. But then I started writing my own raps.
Right.
So by the time I was about 13, I started writing my own lyrics and started performing at some talent shows and performed at my church a couple of times. My dad was really nervous about that. So let me tell you a quick story.
Yeah, go to the story.
So my dad on a Sunday night, which the Sunday night service was mostly all the older people, right? Like
yes.
I'm talking like retired age, and my dad at the end of service was like, my son and a couple of his friends have written a Christian rap song, and but we're going to dismiss the service now, so you guys can go. But if anybody wants to stay and watch them perform it, you can stay, but service is dismissed. So everybody was like this. Nobody moved. They're all like, we got to see this. So, my one friend was on the drums. My mom actually did a couple keys on the piano. And it was me and one other guy that rapped. And everybody stayed. And they all loved it and clapped for us and supported us.
Wow.
Most of them clapped. A few of them were like, I don't know about that. But, they...
This is some borderline stuff right here. Yeah.
So, that was super radical because that was like the 80s.
Wow,
yeah. So,
nice.
but that's kind of where it started at. And then when I went to Bible college, I started rapping at some talent shows, and we started a group that started ministering in the juvenile detention centers and at some urban outreaches. And then some youth groups started to invite us as well. And then everyone was asking, do you have a CD? Do you have a tape? It was a tape back then. And eventually, when I became the youth pastor at Crossover, I recorded my first solo album. I did it independently.
Wow.
I did a second one independently. And then the second album I put out had some songs that started to get on some of the online hip-hop charts. And so some record labels started to call me.
To find you.
And it was never my goal to get signed because I was doing youth ministry. I went to school for that. That was my passion. I'm going to do music as well. That's going to support. But I wasn't trying to become a big national act that was touring all the time. Because I couldn't tour. I was here planted in Tampa to do this youth ministry.
Right.
So this label called me and wanted to sign me. And I made them put in the contract that I was in control of my touring schedule. So then they couldn't be like, okay, we have this 3-month tour for you. Because, labels want you to be on the road, for you to build your fan base, to sell more records, so the label makes more, more money. And the label owner was just gracious and said, that's exactly why I wanted to sign you, because you're full-time, you're in ministry, you're mature, sure. So it was a real ministry-minded guy. So I was able to control my touring schedule and balance it between, being here at home, being a husband, and, doing the ministry at home, and, being the artist and the evangelist on the road.
Nice. Wow.
It wasn't always perfect. Let me say that. If everything sounded like it's perfect, it's not always perfect. Sometimes you get a little off balance and you have to recalibrate. And
so break us off a little something.
Little something. All right. This is from, you have it right here.
Go ahead.
This is from the new Amnesia album, which came out, which you can download for free. You can go to noisetrade.com/UrbanD813, and you can actually get this for free. But I'll do this track. It's track 2. It's kind of like a spoken word piece since there's no music. It's called City of Pain. I just got the diagnosis. My mom's got cancer, multiple myeloma. She's losing focus. But me, I'm committed to stay devoted to my God, my fam, my church, my city. The Trinity's like my steering committee, helping me navigate these potholes through my path. But the pain is real. I'm trying to stay on task. I'm trying to be authentic, no mask. But I'm still called to lead. But sometimes even leaders bleed from wounds in battle. Critics take shots and people babble, make things up like Scrabble, but there's no time to straddle, no fences, no time to get defensive. This city of pain will cost you. It can get so expensive. As people, sometimes we get apprehensive to share our struggle, but push through and find yourself a safe huddle. And don't forget all the times that our God rescued us from trouble.
Woo! Wow.
Yeah.
That is what's up.
So a little bit about my pain, some stuff I've gone through, but even in the midst of pain, many times we have amnesia and we can forget how God has rescued us before. Just like the Israelites, just like the disciples, Old Testament, New Testament, we do the same stuff and we doubt, we murmur, we complain when the impossible stuff comes up, and God will get us through.
Wow. Nice, Pastor. Very nice. Well done. Wow. As we wrap up this show, it's customary that we always let our guests look into that camera and just flow whatever the Lord would have you to say to a generation that will watch this.
Definitely. Well, if you're watching today and you might be like, wow, okay, this is different. You got this dude sitting on the couch with a bright yellow T-shirt and a hat, and he's a pastor. Wait a minute, what? God wants you to come to him just as you are. He loves you, even right in the middle of your dirt, your junk, your mess right now. I meet people all the time that say, well, I can't come to church because I got all these issues. Church and coming to God is exactly where you need to be. He loves you just the way you are, but he loves you so much that he doesn't want to leave you that way. He wants to change you and transform you to become more like his son. But that's something that he does. We can't do that in our own power and our own willpower and strength. He does it. But we just have to come and submit and say, God, here I am. Here I am. Put me on the table, the operating table, do surgery, change me, shape me, transform me. And that's what I've done in my life. And God still allows me to be me. Many times that's what we can be scared of. Well, if I become a Christian, then I'm going to totally become a different person. In many regards, you will be different, but there will be parts of you that's still you. I still have my Philly accent. I'm still have all the life experiences I did. I still rap. I use that now to glorify him. So your gifts, your talents, your life experience, the things that you've been through, God takes all those unique things and shapes them so your story can be a story that glorifies the greatest story ever, his story. And so God wants to use you in a unique way. There's nobody that has your fingerprint. There's nobody that has your DNA on this entire planet. He's made you with a unique purpose to do unique things for him, for his glory. So don't miss it. Reach out to him right where you're at today. And you might even be a little older and maybe I've missed it, or maybe if you still have air in your lungs, if your heart is still beating, God still has purpose for you. He has things for you to do, things for you to accomplish. So seek him, go hard, have faith, and walk by faith, not by sight. Amen.
Amen. God, awesome, Pastor T. My God, thank you so much for stopping by. Amen.
Definitely.
Let's Talk show and just start walking us through your life. What an amazing journey.
Thank you. Thank you
and
for
what
having me.
and the work that you're doing right here in the Tampa Bay area. I'm glad Crossover Church exists, and we declare that you will hit. Well, we declare that you're going to pass the 1,000 mark before the end of the year with souls that will come into the kingdom, and we're just so grateful for you. So once again, thanks for stopping by.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Listen, guys, it's my life creed that if you put God first, all else will follow by now.
Thank you for watching today's show. If you'd like to request a copy of today's show, please contact us at 813-971-5372. We would love to hear from you. Please drop us a line at letstalkshow@verizon.net or subscribe to our Facebook page and leave a comment. If you feel this show has been a blessing to you and would like to assist us in keeping the show on the air, you can make a donation via PayPal or mail your checks to the address shown on the screen. Please tune into next week's show, and as always, if you want to talk about it, let's talk.